Hey, this is Drippy. In this video, I want to talk about how to use the TradingView stock screener, how I'll use it to create my basically like partial pre-market watch list. So my pre-market watch list, I prepare using this scanner, and then read the news, and it's based on previous day's flow. But in this video, I think I want to talk about the stock screener part. So let's go over a couple things here. So if you look here on the top, this part is the basically you can save the view here, like your columns. You can adjust the columns and save the view. So I'll go over this in a second. And this is the important part you want to focus on is the time interval. So I usually use the scanner around 8:30 Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Eastern, because that's where you start to see some real action. Before that it's kind of dull. So that's when I use it. And then the filters here I want to talk about is first is symbol type. Is I usually stick to stock because I don't really want to trade anything else. And then exchange, you can leave it whatever you want it to be. And then market cap, I'm looking at mid cap and above, so it's set to minimum $2 billion, 2 billion. And that means that the market cap is mid cap and above. And then the average daily volume I'm looking is 1 million plus, because I want to trade stocks which are liquid enough for options. Since TradingView doesn't have option-based filters in the pre-market, so we have to rely on the underlying. And then next thing I do is I set the last, which is basically the last value for the stock. I like to trade stocks which are above $15. I don't really like trading stocks under $15 because the premiums are kind of whack for options and spread is wide. But you can adjust it according to your preferences. Sometimes I keep it 10 as well. So it just depends on the day and how many values are there in the screener. And then finally, the pre-market change, I like to keep it above 1.5 to 1. This is my range percent. And so this is looking for a bullish setup right now. If you want it for a bearish setup, all you have to do is below or equal and then set it to -1 here. I apologize, I do have background noise, so apologize. I'm staying at my friend's place, and you know how it is. Anyway, so yeah, I set it above 1, and then the pre-market volume I set it to 100K. You can even set it to 50K, but in my experience I think this is a good number to filter out the noise. I don't want a bunch of tickers here. I'm looking at cream of the crop. It's okay if it's zero, I don't want a lot of, I don't have a lot of time to look at the charts in the morning, so I'm looking at basically the best which is there. And you can adjust this to 50K, just based on your liking. And then finally just leave everything else the way it is. Now let's go over what I select here on the view. So if you go here, in the column I have the ATR for the stock, which is average true range for 14 days, last value, pre-market change percent, pre-market change value, pre-market volume, relative volume, which is the most important one for me, and the actual volume. So the relative volume basically tells you, like, for the last 30 minutes to 1 hour, let's say, like how much is the volume compared to the previous hour or previous time interval time frame which is there. So which tells me that is the volume. If it's more than one, that means there's some action going on the pre-market, in the pre-market for that ticker. And I like to, ideally would like it to be greater than one, but it's not necessary that it would be. And then finally, a couple other things here is I look at the pre-market change percentage, and you can see here that for NVAX it was 6%. So why I have ATR is basically that, okay, well, the pre-market change is greater than the average true range for the stock. So that means that, okay, it moves roughly $6 a day. based on last 14 days, and it's already moved $12 in pre-market. So is this a good risk reward for me to enter right at the open or not, or should I wait for a pullback? And in this case, I want to wait for a pullback. And so let's look at these two charts now, like a day before, like this was NVAX chart, and this was the pre-market gap, as we saw here, that one thing I want to set is that I don't want to look at the um, oh wait, never mind, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so if you see here a day before, basically, um, this was right here 16th, right, and we're looking at 17th data, and you can see here when you 5-minute chart for NVAX, and that's where you see it kind of gap up, right? This is what I was telling you, like it's not an ideal risk reward, so I'm waiting for a pullback. And once it kind of like comes to this EMA, and you can see like this is a good risk reward. You see this hammer reversal on 5-minute, and you see kind of buyer step in, it consolidates around, finds the support, and then next leg up, finds the support, and then this is the big move, right? So you could have entered actually around this area, scalped it, and then this was a big move around 1150. I think the news came out about the COVID, and you know, so this is how you create my pre-market watch list often, partial watch list. And then let's look at Cerner. Now, CERN, I don't really know what happened, but I mean, like really, like I don't want to trade this stock because it pre-market moved 14%, ATR is 1.4, so it's 10 times ATR. There's no way this is a good risk reward. So there's no point, in my opinion, trading this. And this is why I eliminate the stock, right? At looking at here. So let's look at some other examples here. Like let's change this to zero point 0.5. Just to give you an example. So now there we have more values here. So another thing I want to talk about is now look at this. Now we are seeing some kind of theme here. Delta Airlines, American Airlines, and CCL is Carnival Corporation. So now, like, which means that all these stocks belong to travel and leisure, and they all are seeing pre-market volume. So that tells me that there's something going on, this is a theme, and we might play the theme, right? So now look at the chart for CCL, for example, on the daily chart, first of all. So you see here was a hammer close. So when you look at the 5-minute chart, right, when the market opened here for CCL, which was around 9:30, right? Let's figure out. Yeah, so around this area, you know. So market open, you see this kind of rejection, but it found the support from yesterday, and then it created new high. So and the same with the other airline, similar, So you can use this to your advantage. You just have to find a good entry. And again, going back to the ATR concept here. So you see here the pre-market change is just like, for example, AAL is 0.14, 0.31, and ATR ATR is basically more than this. So at least I know that it can move more. So this is how I calculate risk reward pre-market. Like, do I even want to trade this? And yeah, of course, I would like to trade this, find a support area, and then long it. It could have been a good trade. Now, I don't use it every day. It just depends on the day. And like, if I have other stocks in my watch list, I try not to use this one because this is not necessarily strong indicator of a move, but it does help in figuring out themes pre-market. And then let's look at finally Roblox. Roblox was also there, and you have to adjust your like, now look at this Roblox. Like if you caught Roblox, that would have been amazing, right? It was in the scanner. We saw it had volume, pre-market change, and it was greater than 1%, and not a lot of stocks were there around 1%, right? So this is how you could have identified solid setups, market open, and um, I didn't use it on Friday because I was busy with other things. I'm on vacation, so but I often use it, and I kind of bummed out about I not scanning it before, but you know, another day, another dollar. But so this is a good example of how cool this is, right? Like, and hopefully you guys um, learn something new. And then finally, like you can save these columns. Like for me, for example, I have relative volume and all these, you can just copy them. You can add more if you want. Like for example, you can add, sometimes I like to add the average 10-day volume just to kind of see how the volume is. And then other things you can add is change percent, like last 5 minutes, how much it has changed, just to see which one has more momentum and stuff like that. But this is the bare minimal setup. And then finally you can save the column list here. So you can do like save column as, and then boom, now next day all you need is to just like come here. You might have others here, you want to other parameters you want to see. So there's a good way to kind of like check out different things, different parameters here, technical parameters. And pre-market scanner is definitely one which I use often. So yep. uh, have a good rest of your day. Thank you.